Hello, everyone. I'm so excited and happy to be here. My name is Nicole. I go by the High Priestess 11 on Instagram. And so let's get started. I will give you a little bit of backstory about myself. I am a psychic, channel, and medium, and I'm a walk in. And so in 2020, I had a really wild awakening. I had a Kundalini awakening and a walk-in experience. And what a walk-in is usually after a traumatic event, a near-death experience, or a very traumatic experience. Often a soul is very exhausted and can switch places mid-lifetime with another soul. And so that is what happened to me. It was pretty crazy, but I'm very thankful for the experience. And so what I learned from that is that we are all so connected to the divine at all times. All we have to learn how to do is to awaken and unlock those abilities within us. So, after my awakening experience and my walk in experience, I began communicating with my spirit guides and channeling. And this was something that I did not expect at all. I really had no idea that this was going to happen to me. So they began communicating with me and downloading information into my mind about the way consciousness works and the way the universe works. And they communicated to me that the human species is evolving, consciousness itself is evolving. And so we are all evolving to be connected to source in the same way that we used to be prior to, I believe it was more than 2,000 years ago. So, because of the world that we live in, we are disconnected from our divine nature. My guides have explained it to me in a way that they say that we are blindfolded and we can't hear anything down here. So, we're kind of maneuvering through our divine experience with none of our abilities intact. Some people have more psychic abilities than others. And some people feel kind of in the dark or they feel like they are alone. And so, again, they communicated to me that everyone would be going through these awakening experiences. Everyone will be waking up. And so, what my job is here is to help people learn how to wake up, to help people figure out how they have been communicating with the divine their whole lives and maybe do not realize that. So I will share with you a little bit of the information that they have taught me as far as how our psychic gifts work, because I'm sure you all have heard through the spiritual community, through your spiritual learning, that we all have these incredible psychic abilities and that we're all telepathic and we all have the ability to connect directly to source and receive the love of source and also receive information through things like the Akashic records. So I will begin to teach you about the three brains. So I was taught that we have three energy centers that work specifically as brains that connect to the divine. So the solar plexus is one. The solar plexus is where your knowing comes from, where your intuition comes from. Now, most people, even if they are not healed, even if they are still in their karmic loops, they at least have the first three chakras active and working properly. So even if you are in the dark, even if you are figuratively walking through hell, you still have your intuition. That is your first connection to God. It is your knowing. So I'm sure at this moment you can recall a time where you were going through a very difficult time and you just felt this knowing in your body. You just knew it. And that knowing kind of guided you through that experience. So that is your first brain. That's your connection to the divine, your intuition, your gut instinct. Your second brain is your heart chakra. And the heart chakra allows you to feel. And when I say feel, I mean connect to the feelings of others, connect to the quantum realm to feel the energy all around you at all times. And so your heart allows you to not only connect to the quantum realm and to connect to the universe, but to connect to another person. So, for example, you are hanging out with someone and they are having a really bad day, but doing their best to pretend that they're having a good day because they don't want to trauma dump on you. but you know and you feel in your heart that something is wrong. And so you can use that beautiful connection to the quantum realm and connection to the all to maybe assist that person in getting through their hard day, or you could offer them some beautiful guidance and advice that would help them through that experience. And the next brain, which is your third eye, is located right here in the center of your forehead, a few inches back, I believe 1.5 inches back. And that is your brain that allows you to see. And so that will facilitate visions for you. You will be able to see light beings around you. You will see little orbs flying around. You will even have visions, premonitions is what they're called. You can see flashes of the future or flashes of your past lifetimes. And so these three brains are how we connect to the quantum field, to the universe, and to God itself. And so I am also sure you guys have heard this theory or this knowing, and for me, that Earth is a school. Earth is a school, and we're here to learn. And the karmic loops are lessons. So when you're in these loops, it feels very much like you are disconnected from God. And that relates back to the being blindfolded and having your ears plugged when you're maneuvering through this human experience here. So it feels very much like you're unplugged. In order to plug yourself in back to the divine, we have to learn how to exit those karmic loops, to love ourselves and adore ourselves. And that is how we activate the heart chakra, which is connecting us to the quantum field, which kind of plugs us back into God. Let's see. So I will explain to you, I am a channel, like I said. And when I am channeling, I kind of gaze off into space. And when I do that, I receive information. So I'm going to go ahead and drop into trance and allow information to come through, and then I will communicate it to you. So if I pause for a moment, that's what I'm doing. Okay. In order to activate these energy centers, think of them as muscles. Let's say you walk into a gym, you haven't worked out your whole life, it's your first time in the gym. You cannot pick up 100 pounds and start benching it. You probably need to start with something small. So that something small that you need to start with is trust. Trust your inner knowing, trust your intuition, trust that gut instinct that we talked about, your first brain. If you're not sure, if you get the feeling and you're not sure and you begin to analyze, it's important for you to act on the first feeling that you received, because that feeling will always be your intuition. Once you begin to analyze it and you begin to use your human mind to criticize yourself and to criticize your feelings, the intuition is like, okay, well, they're not listening to us. And then it suppresses itself. So whenever you receive those knowings and those feelings in your gut, listen to them. The worst that can happen is you trust it and you're wrong. And the best thing that can happen is you trust it and you're right. So go ahead and trust yourself. Often I think we experience things in our lives that cause us not to trust ourselves, like we make bad choices or seemingly bad choices, or we end up in a relationship with someone that maybe is not great for us. And because of that, we then begin to not trust ourselves. Or maybe we are raised in a household and our parents teach us not to trust ourselves, that we don't know what we are doing. And so in this case, you have to learn how to exit that karmic loop, because the karmic loops start almost always with our parents and the way that our parents treat us. Because remember, it's a school. So whatever you come here to learn, you know prior to arriving on Earth that that is what you're going to learn about. So you choose your parents that will teach you that lesson. And if you don't fully embrace and learn that lesson and really sit with it and reflect on it, then you will then manifest a partner into your life that will further teach you that lesson. So trusting yourself is the most important thing that you can possibly do. This will also take some deprogramming. Deprogramming, in my opinion, the best way to do it is looking at yourself in the mirror and talking to yourself. because most of the programming that we have received is through words. So from the age, I think from birth until my guides tell me between 11 and 12, we are in a stage of programming. Our minds are constantly being programmed by the world around us, by the adults around us, and by the things that we experience. Around 11 or 12, that programming is solidified into our mind, and then we live our lives from then forward in the programming of those experiences. It is important to kind of look at it in the form of a metaphor. So for me, my guides show me like a video game. They show me a video game and they show me the character in the video game, and they say the character in the game does not know they're in the game. They do not realize that they're in the game. I don't know how many of you have played The Sims, but I used to play it all the time when I was younger, and it really reminds me of that. The character of the game, does not realize that they are, in fact, a character in a game. And so what we have to do to recognize the programming and to reprogram that information, to reprogram our system, the system that we live within, we have to become awakened in the game. We have to become the character that realizes they are operating within the programming of a game. And the game is the programming that you receive from birth to 11 or 12. How do we do this? Sounds amazing, right? But how do we do this? Self-awareness. Every day, sitting with yourself. Every time you're going to make a choice, instead of operating on emotion and impulsivity, reflecting on the choice that you're going to make. Why am I making this choice? What is pushing me into making this choice? Am I making this choice because I am afraid? Am I making this choice because I want people to look at me in a certain way? Or am I making this choice because it's what makes me genuinely happy? So self-reflection is the most important thing you can do, aside from trust, to begin to kind of unravel the framework of your programming. For this, meditation is so important. I know that it is difficult to meditate. It's not only difficult for you, but it's difficult for me too. Even doing what I do, I still struggle with finding the time to sit down and meditate, but it is absolutely so important that we do that, because the divine is communicating with you, not only through your outside universe, but through inside of you at all times. So sitting with yourself and meditating, in my opinion, every day is the best. At least 10 minutes a day, usually when you wake up or before you go to sleep. This will allow you to reflect on your inner world, and it will also allow you to receive communication. So a lot of the communication that I receive is telepathic, and when receiving telepathic communication, it can often sound like our own inner voice. So you might think that you are talking to yourself within your own mind, but in fact, so many times you're communicating with your subconscious, you are communicating with your higher self, and you're communicating with your guides. And I do want to touch on these negative inner dialogues that we have. My whole life prior to my awakening, I had very negative inner dialogue. I would have a voice in my head saying mean things to me, telling me that I'm not doing a good job, that I'm not a good mother, that I'm not a good person, and nobody likes me. I do want to address the fact that oftentimes when we experience this negative inner talk, it is not only programming, but it can be a spiritual parasite that attaches it to our energy field and says mean things to us because they feed on our fear, on our guilt, on our shame, and on our pain. And so you can very easily remove these things. You are not cursed or anything like that at all. You have so much power. We are all very powerful. And so all you have to do is revoke access to these things. Look in the mirror and say, I demand all negative energies, leave my energy field, and return to source, and they will leave. And that's exactly what I did for myself. I heard that negative voice for, I would say, like 25 years. And after I did that, I looked at myself in the mirror and did exactly what I just told you. It was gone. So I would love for you all to try this. Oftentimes they're very sneaky and they hide themselves in our energy field. and they disguise themselves as our inner voice. Even if you're not sure if you have it, it cannot hurt to go ahead and do an entity removal anyway. And I have full instructions on how to do that on my Instagram. You can find my Instagram name below if you want to check that out. Another thing that I do really want to share with you all that has changed my life profoundly and actually led to my awakening and my working experience is energy cleansing baths. So immediately before my awakening, I started to have visions. I would have these visions, and it seemed like my imagination was very vivid. And I kept seeing these baths. I would see a bath and there was flowers in it and it was really beautiful. And this vision would not leave my mind. At first I ignored it because I didn't know what it was. But it would not leave me alone. So I said, let me just try this. Let me try it because this vision is haunting me. And at the time I was not feeling good. I was very depressed, very miserable. I was not in a good place. And so I started making energy cleansing baths for myself. They're also known as spiritual baths. You can Google them. There's all kinds of recipes. There's so much information about them. But I began doing those, and I began doing them every single day. And within 2 to 3 months, I had my Kundalini awakening, my walking experience, all of my anxiety, depression, it was all gone. And I began communicating with my guides. So what they taught me about these baths is that we all have energy fields. We all have a Taurus field. And if you are a healer, if you are an empath, if you're sensitive in any way, you absorb energy from other people and it will change your vibration. If you do not cleanse your aura and cleanse your energy field, all of that energy sticks to you and you carry it around. So oftentimes we are very, very depressed, or we are moody, or we're just feeling out of sorts and we don't know why. Energy cleansing baths will kind of remove all of the energy that you absorb from anyone around you. So for me, I am extremely sensitive. Anytime I go out, anytime I go to the store, I do readings all day also. And when I'm done with my readings, I do an energy cleansing bath. And that's how I keep my energy very clean and I keep my vibration very high. So I recommend doing those for anybody that struggles in any way. They're just incredible. My guides also inform me that anyone that does these consistently will experience spiritual awakening and Kundalini awakening. Let's see, I'm going to connect again. As a couple of the presenters on here already said, you create your own reality. And you create reality through a lens of your vibration. So if you are vibrating low, we feel like crap when we're vibrating low. We feel hopeless. We feel lost. Remember, it feels like we're unplugged from the divine. When you raise your vibration, you essentially are raising it within yourself. And so anything that is lower, that is vibrating lower than that vibration, will be brought up to the top for you to release. So it's a great way for you to do shadow work as well. If you're trying to purge and heal and release your generational trauma, energy cleansing baths will really, really be a great addition to whatever it is you're already doing. And I will give you just a brief explanation of how those work. So you fill up a bath. You can also do it in the shower. You add at least 1 to 2 cups of sea salt. You can do regular sea salt or Himalayan sea salt. And to that, I recommend adding any polished crystals that you have. Quartz is the best. And add any herbs you have. I like mint. You can also add flowers. You can add fruit as well. Flowers and fruit and fresh herbs, they all have a very high vibration. So you are essentially creating an alchemy bath. And the bath is going to cleanse your energy, cleanse your vibration, and raise your vibration. And in my opinion, it is best to do these every single day. When I was going through my awakening and I was having a really hard time, I would do them twice a day. And they really, really helped me. You can also do them in the shower by combining all of these ingredients in a bowl, mixing it all together, and then pouring it over yourself in the shower. Obviously, take the crystals out first so you don't hurt yourself. But pour it over yourself in the shower and ask to be cleansed. Ask Source, ask God, ask your angels, whatever it is that you resonate with the most. Ask to be cleansed of any negative energy. And when you get out of the bath, it's so great to lay down and meditate, that's the best time for you to receive guidance and messages from your spirit team. I often find when I'm in the bath is when I receive the most profound downloads and visions. Another thing that will also happen through raising your vibration is you will be able to resonate at the same rate of the Akashic records. So you will begin to download information into your mind of your past lives, and it will kind of just happen. You won't really have to seek it out. It will just begin to, it's almost like, reminds me of an automatic recording or an automatic playing of a movie in your mind. So this will just begin to happen when you raise your vibration to the rate of the Akashic records.